Good morning. I'll meet you out and back. Greetings and salutations. So I tend to be a little nostalgic at this time of year, but rarely do I do a lot of decorating. Most of the things I carry down from upstairs in the closet, and I just sort of put them around. So I thought I'd share with you why this year was a little bit different. As you can see, the outside of the house is all decorated. And that's also where Crossroads resides. Normally I don't do all that much. Why did that change this year? Well, I was watching A Light Flight on Amazon, on Prime, and it certainly strongly influenced my desire to light up my own surroundings. All the tech and music and the combinations of what people were doing in their homes was incredible for me, and it certainly influenced maybe I'd like to have a little more this year. So one lesson certainly for me that I start out with is how influential even a podcast, a video, just watching something can be. What it does is it gives you an adventure of some sort, and it's altered by your own selections and how you choose to adapt it to yourself. My strength is not the computer. Putting music and lights together and having anything worthwhile would be absolutely impossible for me, admittedly. But what can happen is you can move your emotional charge to something, and you can do it your own little way then, and that's exactly what I did. Well, how about my shirt? I'm not much for absolutes. This reminds us not to quit. Well, sometimes we have to quit. Sometimes we have to give something up. We don't have any choice. So we need to be good at that range of surrendering, acquiescence, giving up, or working on something. We have to be good at that. So that's something each of us weighs in on what's important this year, what's going to be important for the new year to work on. You can't compare yourself with anyone else. I don't. I compete and I compare with myself. I need to change myself. I need to be more of whatever it is or less of whatever it is. To be my better self, to be my best self, to put forward the self that I want to have for me. So working on yourself is individual. Forget the magazines. Forget having to weigh a certain amount. Forget everything and anything. Just take in information and then decide for yourself what you want to do with it. Let go of perfection. This life is not controlled. It's managed. I say to myself, just good enough. Need to stay in here. I don't want to be too good and doing everything so perfectly that nobody wants to be around me because they feel judged. On the other hand, I don't want to put nothing in and be jaded and have complaints about everything. Just good enough. And every single thing, it's a different range. So we sort of have to learn how to soothe ourselves when we don't reach exactly the perfection, and rather give that up and move down a little bit and decide what would be more realistic. Soothing myself is a full-time job, for sure. So you don't have much money this year. I didn't spend a lot. Most all those things you see in here are things I had from before that I brought down. Increasing my own glad heart. You know, every time I look at something that somebody has brought or given, or it's come from the past, it has a story, and I love that. It is the sunrises and the sunsets, and it's the self-awareness. So the number one thing that I wrote in my journal was about self-awareness, making myself more aware of the gifts that I have been given. Secondly, my grateful self, ability to self-reflect. I'm writing this on December 7th. I'm just picking it back up today on the 23rd. I hadn't even looked at it. This morning I opened it up and I said to myself, you know, is there anything I want to change? Is there anything I don't like? And I thought to myself, no, only the shirt. I wanted to wear the shirt, but I want to be very clear. Nothing is all and nothing is none. It just doesn't work like that. December 7th, Pearl Harbor, a day to remember. The time I spent with my grandmother listening to fireside chats that Roosevelt had on, the horror of going into a war. When I look back, what was the plus of all that? The diversity, how all the nations came together for freedom. England and how they suffered and what they gave up in order to hold on until we really entered the war. So the horror that took us into war, we certainly don't want another one of those. But also, we want to reflect on what came out of that. And that is more of a universal kind of idea. It's not so much laissez-faire when I grew up, which was hands off. It's more about diversity and coming together as different people with different ideas. Thirdly, courage and adaptability. So I think it used to be if it looks like a duck, waddles like a duck, squawks like a duck, it's a duck. Now today it could be AI, may not be a duck. But that's one thing I admired about my grandmother. She was able to go from the horse and buggy to all the various changes in our culture and never jaded about anything, never said, remember the good old days, always was willing to stay abreast of things. Well, AI is an impressive tool. It's not going away. It's just beginning to launch, and it's launching everywhere. It still doesn't have, and I don't know if it ever will, heart, soul, compassion. It doesn't have those things. It looks emotional, it talks emotional, but it isn't emotional. But it does grasp the information and put it all together. It also has its limitations, and it always says, guess what? This isn't all the truth. Number 4, my resources, my resourceful self. What can I feed myself? I don't need someone else to tell me what's good for me to read, good for me to listen to. There's a massive amount of information on Google. Those of you that use the internet, maybe you remember that name Google came out of a mistake. It wasn't supposed to be Google. It was supposed to be another word. And as it turned out, they liked that better and ended up calling it Google. Songs, books, plays, experiences, doing things with other people. Most of all, folks, having input, having differences and ideas. Those things that light up my inner self. Country music, old songs like House, Crosby, Steel and Cash, I remember that song, and Nash. Norman, how about No Man's an Island, an old song, sung by various choirs. Whatever you like. Many genres, many choices, and you can download many different things today. So, number 5, my self-focus, to create a better me, to address what things I need, what my attention, and I can share some of those things. But they're not a list that anyone else should pick up and run with. It's a list I run with. It's my journal. I happen to love this little teensy-tiny book. I had one just like it in 2005 when I did borders on a book that I wrote, and I took all my notes in one of these. Lo and behold, I couldn't find it on the website, which is, what's it called? Paper Blanks, which I love. And they have new designs. What? From doing a search on the internet, I found a book. Just like it. This is just like the one I had in 2005. So, self-focus, to create a better me, to address what things need my attention, myself, on the small steps, not giant ones, just small steps in order to reach a goal. So to really summarize, self-awareness, having gratitude, adaptability, knowing where to find my resources, what I need to change, what I want to work on, what I want to add or enhance, what my focus is going to be. Proverbs 4:23 for me. Guard your heart, it's the wellspring of your life. If you turn to Google and look about what Google says about that, it's pretty verbal on what that means, how we run our lives from our inner self. Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday season.